All right, we are live in the box. I tell you tonight, I'm not even going to tell you guys the backstory. It's not even worth it. I am Queen. This is the FiTT TWiN segment. And I have my partner. Y'all see my partner. Amaadi, let's power up. Power up. Power up. All right, Kelly. You're a guest, but you got a partner. That's right. Power up. That's how we roll out here. I'm Queen. I'm a host at DaBoXX Radio. We are a media platform illustrating Black excellence. We platform Black people, we expose Black genius, and we disseminate information to the community, all communities, but especially the Black community. So tonight, we have an amazing segment, the FiTT TWiN segment, which we talk about health and wellness culture. And health and wellness can be in a lot of things: our mental health, our physical health, our employee health. Let's be clear. It's a lot of health out here. And you need fitness for all of that. You need mental fitness, especially for employee health. You might go out of your mind when you're chin. Let me talk to you about it. All day. I just came off my job dying. So it is what it is out here. So health and wellness for the culture is what me and Dee do every month. So you guys know who I am. And I want you, of course, my boss, my co-host, to introduce herself.
Your mother.
I work for her, my mother.
Peace. This is Amaadi, aka the belly therapist and founder of FiTT Tribe Wellness, where we give natural mommy makeovers with belly therapy, fitness, and nutrition. Welcome to the show. I think we have a special guest here.
You think?
I got a twin.
Puff. It's the puff night. I'm not going to take off my hat because I'm twinning too, but it's bad under here. I see you, Puffy.
I got two twins. I got one on my left. I got one on my right.
Absolutely. So we have a special guest for you guys. You know, this is the sister circle. Every time the FiTT TWiNz come in the door, it's that time of the month. It's the sister circle. And we have Kellie Bigelow. Say hi, Kels. Well, Kellie, we are so happy that you're here and sitting with us tonight. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, like your backstory, like where you from, and in Baltimore, y'all rep these high schools. Throw it on us. Tell me what's up.
I am a pure quintessential Baltimorean.
We can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Hello?
That is better. Thank you.
I'll move on in for my close up, Mr. DeVille. So I'm a quintessential be more girl. Homegrown. Family roots are from down south, but everybody for the most part, Baltimore. West side. That's important. We had space and grass and our schools were better. So for the most part. But everybody knows you based on your high school, who your people is, and where you from. So I graduated from Walbrook Senior High School.
Wow.
I was a transfer there. I went to Baltimore School for the Arts, and then I went to Walbrook. And I rep Walbrook class of '86 all day long. One of the best underrated high schools in Baltimore because we had arts programs, we had high-end academics. I mean, I had calculus in a junction.
I love it.
Yeah, no. So, but they also had one of the best communications and arts program. I was a dance major. When you open to page 90 and it says Kelly Wilson, that was my maiden name. It was dance major. So, but I was a nerd. I was a punk prep. I hung out in Baltimore. And it was fun growing up in the late 70s and 80s and early 90s in Baltimore. It was treacherous because you had to navigate the city. And coming from a family that was very civically and socially active, I had a very well-rounded childhood. So we lived on Bentlou. It's spelled Bentalou.
I call it Bentalou. And people say, what is Bentalou? I'm not from here. I call it Bentaloo. They're like, where's Bentaloo?
So I'm gonna give it to you so you don't get mugged. So it's Bigelow.
Not mugged.
I know, but I call it Bentaloo.
Because if you say Bentaloo, you're gonna get knocked upside your head or Bigelow.
Real talk.
No, it's Bigelow.
Bigelow.
Between Lafayette and Calvert Heights. And almost all my family was West Side. My great-grandparents lived around the corner on Lafayette. We lived with our grandparents on Bigelow. Our family church, St. Mark's Institutional Baptist Church, pastor was Spencer G. Dobson and Harold Dobson, was across the street. My other uncle, Vernon Dobson, who was well known, who my family helped desegregate Baltimore, like they're entrenched. And his church was down on Druid Hill, which is Union Baptist. So we have a strong religious, educational Park Street in our family. You know, that's how Black family.
Sound like a Black neighborhood with the pastor.
It is. It was an all
the pastor.
Black.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, it was an all Black professional working middle class. And you know, everybody had that one cousin that was on something. So we grew up with lawyers and teachers and nurses, you know, and my grandmother taught at Carver. So it was a well-rounded environment, but it still was the inner city. So you had to learn how to navigate. Like we didn't get bike lanes. You had to learn how to drive on, you know, ride on the street.
Absolutely.
We all of a sudden, you know, we want bike lanes and we want everybody saved.
Yeah, I get
Me
it.
and my pink huffy had to learn to navigate Emerson Avenue. You know,
I love it.
You know,
I love that.
But what that taught me, you know, coming from my parents, teachers, preachers, and something in between is what I came from. But being a creative kid, would drop a routine anywhere, act out anywhere. I was just a very expressive, hyperactive kid. And coming up then, you know, I was a dance major, so I danced 3 or 4 hours a day, you know, being a major at dance major at Walbrook. And then I danced at UMES where I attended.
Oh, yeah, so you came from HBCU.
I went to UMES for 3 years.
Okay.
I don't think anybody saw me my last semester. But I came home partying. Went to Fantasies, home on summer break, getting it. And I fell in front of this man was fine. And I ended up marrying him.
Oh wow. That's a story. Wow.
I'm still waiting for my mama to forgive me for that one, you know. But what the value of UMES for me was, I had a lot of friends from Baltimore to go, but I met so many other, you know, Black kids, Black young adults from, you know, from New York, Philly. We didn't get a lot of Southerners because, you know, that's the Bible Belt for HBCUs. But from New York to VA, UMES, and you had maybe 1 or 2 folks sprinkled in from Nevada. How we ended up with Black people from Las Vegas, I don't know, but they were sprinkled in there. And the school back then was a small composite of Baltimore and DC. And to this day, I'm still very close with friends I went to school down there, but they had an awesome dance team. And I was a biology major. I was a creative geek, and I get the dancing from my dad, roller skating from my dad, music from my dad. That's all Tuffy. That's my mother. My mother is a walking genius. This woman, wow. Yeah, she used to go to Pimlico. My dad would go to Pimlico racetrack, and she would handicap horses on the abacus.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, so
She knew her percentages.
Honey,
I'm feeling her. She knew them percentages. I'm feeling her on that.
Lydia,
you got a very, very rich story in Baltimore and outside of Baltimore.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love being from here. And
okay.
I miss, and this is going to sound real wild, I miss my caliber of people in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Folks I came up with were personality-wise, generationally, our music was different, but so many of our Black professionals and creators left Baltimore because so many of the programs left Baltimore.
Well, you know what I think we have to create those neighborhoods. It's intentional that what we see, and it has to be intentional to change it. So we have to create, if you want those caliber, you got to buy a few houses and kind of sell them back to those people. We have to create those neighborhoods again, because what we see is an intentional movement. And I hear
what we came from was authentic and organic, because you couldn't live nowhere else, at least not with welcoming arms. For most of us, when we moved out to the suburbs, we were the minority. The reverse was true for me. We lived in the county, and then when my parents separated, we moved to the city, but we always had family in the city, so it wasn't foreign to me. But I think what's missing, and it's coming back in pockets. It's coming back in pockets. But I could go out on any given night in Baltimore and find a funky jazz set, high-end quality dance classes by world-renowned dancers, poetry slam, and it wasn't that we were necessarily, quote unquote, had to create them, but they were happening. If that makes any sense, it was artistic expression in Baltimore expressed itself. It was organic. It wasn't planned. Like we were in some in somebody's basement. A lot of the buildings on Howard Street were lost. We were all in the lost doing poetry slams. Firm Ground, the band from Baltimore, started an organic soul at a poetry night. So for me, that funky edge that Baltimore used to have, we don't have it anymore. And you're right. The way we get back to that is you have to create spaces. And I think my family background plays out so strongly for me, because you can't do that if you're not educated. And I don't necessarily mean education graduating from a 4-year college. Education is learning by way of internship, learning by way of you've been working somewhere for 10 years and you've learned to come up through all the mechanisms and the systems, things like that. We need people who are knowledgeable, who want to invest back in Baltimore. We haven't had a lot of spaces to go. So much blight and so much loss of property in Baltimore was a result of a lot of the programs that flowed out of the city. I'm a classically trained ballerina.
Okay.
I will be double nickels in 2023. And I've been dancing all my life.
Okay.
And I went through 3 programs. I trained at Peabody. Baltimore School for the Arts had the TWiNz program that you had to audition to get into. I trained at UB Blake. I trained at what is it called? The Armory, the West Side Armory down off of Calverton. So there were places and spaces for little Black kids to be exposed to stuff and to do things. And they're getting back to the recreation center scenario, but the talent has left Baltimore. Like we had some of the best dance teachers, like renowned. I attended the Arena Players for 5 years, youth program for almost $13 a week. Do you know how much that program costs now for 6 weeks? for a kid in the summer, you're talking about $600-700 almost. And we went for free with box lunches, with you majoring in drama or dance or theater, and you practiced all year long for a musical. Stephanie Rollins, our ex-mayor, went to Arena Players. That's how we met. So those things used to integrate Baltimore. It wasn't everything had to be paid for, and everything wasn't socially divided based on. I was a little kid living on Bentlow Street that was in a program with, young ladies whose parents were doctors and lawyers and politicians. But because it fed the city, you got exposed to everything. And I miss that about Baltimore.
I get it. I definitely get that. But Baltimore is a great city, and I think it has a burgeoning creative art scene. The art scene in Baltimore is so amazing to me, and they're doing a lot of great things in Baltimore. But I do want to get into particularly the story of what you do for a living as a contractor, and kind of talk about that a little, and also how did you get there. So we want to kind of move into that lane, yes, and kind of talk about your job, well, not your job, your contracting gig you got going on. So kind of tell us a little bit about that. Huh?
My lifestyle. My career is my lifestyle.
Okay.
And I say that because I've been a systems engineer and a technical person for my entire career. But I got tired of wanting to be a resource. And for the most part of my career, I was a contractor, better money as a contractor. And during the pandemic, I lost 2 jobs. I was on 2 contracts back to back because of the pandemic. And when I realized, I had savings, I have a great life partner. Things were going to be, we fared better than most. But the last contract that I had, I met somebody who I made my mentor. I made them my mentor. I'm not going to put his name out there because I consider him a boss in a way. And he was a program manager. We lost the contract because the company couldn't afford to continue the contract with the pandemic. So he said, here's what I want you to do. I'm bidding on a contract. And he calls himself a 3-degree ninja because he has a bachelor's and 2 masters, and they're all from HBCU, every last one of them. And he said the business advice he gave me is what people go to school for. It was priceless. He said, I want you to create a company. And I've had my own companies. I had dance fitness. I worked with that for 7 years. And then I went back into IT. So I'm familiar with how to run a business, but not necessarily a technical contracting business. So he said, I want you to create a business. I want you to get workman's comp insurance. That's what you need. He said, didn't you just get Agile certification? I said, yeah. So while I was out unemployed, I went back to get certification of project management because I was already managing server teams and managing network teams and doing project management, but I kind of needed the goods. And one thing that I have always practiced, because I don't have my degree, I did not finish, I always made sure that I had certifications in my network field. I'm an MCSE. I had, VMware certified, Security Plus certified. I'm credentialed up. But then I said, I want to move out of being a resource and start to see more of my money. So then I started to get my Agile product owner certification, and hopefully I sit for my PMP soon. What that allowed me to do was to be valued in my field. And when I'm ready to go back to school, I will. But my certifications carry weight. So he said, "You have some PM search, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay." He said, "I'm bidding on a contract. I want you to run the team for me if I get it." And I'm like in the ear, like, okay, okay, okay. So while I'm waiting to hear from him on this, I'm battling unemployment. They owe me about $10,000. And this is when unemployment was jacked up. The pandemic was off the hook. I'm sitting there. I am running thin on money. And I got that $10,000 in back pay during my last disbursement of my savings that day. I took that money, I replenished my savings, and then I created an LLC in Maryland State. I got registered for payroll services with ADP. I subscribed to QuickBooks, and I created a company out of my unemployment money. I funded my business with that unemployment money that I was awarded. I opened up my business account. And I did so because a friend of mine was running her mouth on Facebook about she is now working for herself. And I said, "How did you do that?" Told me what to do while I'm waiting on, the boss to get back to me about the contract. And I never sat idle. I did my research. I got up every morning like I was at work. I moved my money around. I invested in myself, and it took about $5,000 to open my bank account, to get the software services that I need. And I became an employee of my own company. It's called B.Ventures, B as in for Bigelow.
Okay, so let me ask a question. So you lost two jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all lost two contracts, in other words.
Hey, I ain't had no job at that
Yeah. So you lost two contracts, and then you decided from your mentor that you would utilize your certifications, because I used the jewel drop that you said. If you don't have a degree, get certified up, become valuable. So whatever field you are in, I put that in the comments, become valuable. So that's what you did. You became valuable. And so the whole time you simulated your life as if you were working while going against unemployment, and then being awarded your unemployment. You utilized some of it to start your business. Okay. And so your business, because you said all these certifications that we really don't know what they are. I know I know you're familiar, but I'm not sure what any of that was. But I get it. Yeah, I get it. So now your business is doing what? Come back up.
I am an independent contractor.
You are what?
Independent contractor.
Independent contractor. Okay.
And I am the owner and operator of B.Ventures LLC.
Okay.
And I was awarded my first contract as a woman-owned minority business. And this is another nugget. I went to SBA, and I am on the books as a woman-owned business in a disenfranchised areas, considered a hub zone. So I can bid. There's 5% of federal contracts that are set aside for Black woman-owned businesses that only those businesses can bid on. So I'm not going up against large companies or more established. This is for people who have opened their businesses within 1 to 3 years. That's the kind of research I did, but that wasn't conveyed to me. Like, somebody didn't sit me down and tell me. I grabbed nuggets of what people did, and I asked questions. So
women or black women? So any woman. So this is woman.
Any woman, because Rosemary Catchmark is my girl, and she's European. But she dropped jewels. She's like, before I went back into federal service, I owned my own business. And Kelly, here's what I did. And then my girl Io was like, here's a link to all the federal contracts. Get yourself a SAM registration. Get yourself a federal ID. It is for free. And you can register and get a NAICS number, and you can bid on federal contracts. I took this all day long because nobody told me until I encountered somebody talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, so, knowledge, unfortunately, isn't told. You have to dig for it, or you got to search for it, unfortunately. Or
but I didn't know what to ask. Like I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah. And I think it's important right here to point out to folks that are listening that the federal government is restricted to market or advertise that they have money. They cannot say, hey, come get this grant. Hey, come get they cannot say that. So that's part of the problem. Like what Kelly said, we don't know what we don't know. So the government is sitting on billions of dollars for people that look like the three of us, but they can't tell us. We can go now. We can, like Kelly said, we can ask somebody a question and someone can refer a website. And then we go to that website and we come, it's like the more you dig, the more you find out. But initially, we have no clue, So it's all about networking and talking and applying the jewels that you learn from other people and picking their brains and being in the same room with certain people and just letting them talk. Or like Kelly said, there's a post on social media that someone's, hey, this is what I did kind of thing, but the government cannot by law advertise, hey, we got this money.
Yep. It's considered steering.
It's a myth I want to dispel. I talk about what I do wherever I go. Because you never know where the information is going to land on what ears. I talk about what I do everywhere I go.
Okay.
And people will get on social media and work in silence, grind in silence, do your thing on the low. No.
You just slapped me.
Squeaky wheels get the grease.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that there's not actually work you have to do. No, if I'm writing up a project management archival, I'm not on social media, so you might disappear and you come back and like I kind of like did a thing. But keeping your mouth closed about something you want to do or doing it is dumb. It's not about somebody's going to take your idea. If you're good at what you do and you know how to do it, you are an individual. All your individuality comes out in what you do. There are millions of network engineers out there. There are millions of project managers out there. There's only one Kelli Bigelow. I do what I do the way I do it. So do I want to meet people who have an idea like me? But girl, you can't tell everybody everything. Well, I don't have a circle where I can't tell people what I'm doing. My circle, you feel what I'm saying? My circle is such that my next venture is I want to do a transportation company. Why would I keep that quiet? You're not going to take my money from me that I'm going to invest in it. You're not going to copy my my business plan if I do it. Those are things I have to do. You want people to know what you're doing if you're in business for yourself.
And this is a good point, and I have to say this because I'm in cohort 3 of the Black Butterfly program, and the Black Butterfly program talks about supporting fellow Black businesses in Baltimore and how we need to change the pyramid where there's most of the power at the top to a circle where we're all on the same playing field, and where if we see a fellow sister or brother that needs support, then we offer that, and it works more like a web as opposed to a pyramid. And when people say don't tell, don't be telling your business and that kind of thing, it's almost like a scarcity mindset. because you don't know who you could be helping or inspire or motivate. And then, you know, what you put out there comes back on top of that. And I mean, why would we not want to help support one another? Kelly made a great point. There are a lot of fitness people out there. There's only one Amaadi. There's only one The Belly Therapist. There's only one Black Box Radio. There's only one Kale's Bells. Why can't we like share the knowledge and help each other grow and get stronger as opposed to keeping it to ourselves? That's a great point. Scarcity mindset must go.
Yep, I agree.
Kelly, come closer. Come
Your
closer.
sound.
I said, with that, I became an independent federal contractor. And the person that was the boss that I thought was just talking about smack gave me my first contract. So I had to not only read over the performance work schedule and all of that, but my experience of working as a contractor in federal service, I already knew how to navigate. So everything had come full circle. And he said, all right, so you got 30 days. And what was funny is I had went through the unemployment money because I put it back in my savings and I started B Ventures, and I got me a small contract. I said, well, he told me, he said, go ahead and get a job, but be ready, because I signed a disclosure up front that I would be coming on. So I got a small contract, and literally I was in this job for 90 days. And he was like, all right, Kel, you ready to go? I was like, what? Are you serious? This is happening. He said, yes, this is what you need. He said, do not do your own taxes. That's the best advice I can get you. So Mama got an accountant. He said, you want to pay yourself and have all your bills, have your business. So if my business got awarded $1 million contract, I'm paying myself 40,000. One, I'm under a certain threshold, so my taxes are different. That means that B Ventures has $1 million less 40 grand in.
I love it. Yeah.
And I work from home, so
yeah, $960,000.
Wait a minute. I was able to have B Ventures pay for everything. And I set up my own 401k through ADP. So I had ADP, $52 a month. QuickBooks, $42 a month. Those are tax write-offs. Each month I run payroll. I pay myself. But I contribute 25% of my 25% of my earnings go to 401k. I don't have a company match in my, oh, yes, I do, because I got my own company. So here's what I did. I set up payroll services with ADP. I established a 401k for myself. So Kelly makes $40,000 minus the 25% donation into her 401k. So that brings my net down even more. And BV matches my 401k. So that money that's in the business account matches my 401k that comes out of the money that I pay myself. I learned what they do. That they don't teach this in 4-year college. You learn this from being in an accounting department or business finance. So I got my business insurance. It comes out of BB's pocket, not Kelly Bigelow's W-2. And at the end of the year, so that BB doesn't show a profit and I zero out, I do an employee match of stock, which is a dump into my 401k at the end of the year. So if my company doesn't show a profit, I have a different set of taxes. And it's just me. I had someone walk me through this because I did such a good job for them on one of the contracts that we lost. He said, I got you. I was like, okay, so what do I do now? He's like, I can't hire you if you don't have workman's comp insurance. I said, why do I have to have workman's comp? He said, because you are an employee of your own business. I said, okay. And if I'm, I also have a DBA. The DBA is B, eVentures. It allows me to teach dance under it. It allows me to do cultural attaché. It allows me to do the creative part of it. And so if I'm meeting with Tribe Wellness to talk about some type of project, it's a tax write-off if we go to dinner. Because BV can pay for that, or BE Ventures can pay for that.
Where we going?
All you gotta do is call me and just and we can talk a little business. But I mean, these are things that it may be something you don't know that you know. I had somebody walk me through this, like they were just giving me phone calls. All right, did you get your workman's comp? I didn't know I need to have it. Yeah, you need to go here. You need to go to Hathaway, Berkshire, and get their business insurance. He walked me through this verbatim, and I want to do it for other people because I wish I would have known at 40 what I known at turning 55. Mm-hmm. I'd be so much farther along. Hey, everything happens when it's supposed to. But imagine if you had somebody that you worked with at 40 years old telling you, do this, do that, don't do this, get this. This is what I use.
Yeah.
He gave me a roadmap. And I think we share knowledge. I think we share it through stories and anecdotes. But sometimes you don't know what you know to impart, like as wisdom, because if you do it every day, you're not looking at it as something somebody might want to know. It's just what you do. But this man helped me set up my business. He told me what I needed to know, and he did not tell me everything. Like, he wanted to see where my initiative is. You need to learn how to lock in on information that you can research yourself. Yeah. So he didn't tell me to go to SBA and register as woman-owned, what is it? A woman-owned disenfranchised business, like WOS something something. But he was like, you need to be in business 2 years before you can get your 8A status, which is minority business, where I can bid on 8A contract. When he said 8A, I went and looked it up. So the information was being given, but it wasn't necessarily spoon fed. You have to listen. You can't be lazy with your own success.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So I definitely like that. You can't be lazy with your own success. So when you say contracts, because a lot of people who aren't particularly in what is a contract? What do you do in a contract?
Well, a contract is an agreement. It is a legally binding agreement between you and a person, you and another party. Could be multiple people.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do in a contract? Do you supply them with potatoes? I mean, what is
I am supplying them with my knowledge and experience. I run the contract that I work on, that I won. I manage a communications team for a large federal agency.
Got it.
This communications team is responsible for fielding all the communications about payroll systems and financial information for a large federal agency. I am personally responsible for all reporting measures. So I have, I know ServiceNow inside now, and that happened to be their reporting mechanism. My benefactor sold my skill set. Like, wait a minute, you don't have somebody on this contract right now that knows ServiceNow. You all have this system. She does this.
I get it. So your contract is what you can do for the agency. Okay, I thought it was contract to me. Was you supplying like an item, but your contract is actually your capacity and what you know, bringing it to a federal agency so they contract you out for your services. But because I know I went to one of those symposiums. I know you can be a contract and supply toilet tissue. You can it's so many different contracts. I want
those are materials and goods.
Yeah, I was just trying to see what type of contract you were having.
Performance based, where it's within an IT environment. So payroll systems, financial system. If anybody has a problem with it, they open a ticket for it. The team that I govern manages the communication about the incident. So I deal with real analysts where they're analyzing, okay, this person is saying, I didn't get paid for 3 weeks. And what do I need to do? We don't fix anything. We coordinate the teams that do. And we coordinate.
You're the liaison.
Right.
Okay. Got
it. And so it's all within the technical realm.
Got it.
And I'm responsible for the reporting. The team that I govern are responsible for communications part of it. And then we have metrics that we must meet. We have standards. We have SLAs, service level agreements.
Got it. Yeah, got it. That's a little much for us. We just want to hear about. Yeah, that's a little much.
My bad. My dork was coming out.
We want to stay on the surface because the SOAs and the BBBs.
Hey, you don't know who listens. You don't know who listens. Somebody might call me and be like, "Wait a minute."
Well, that's true.
MOU. So
yeah, but that's true. But this is not a contract conversation.
So I do have a question. I want to back up a little bit before B Ventures when you were still in the IT field as an employee. What was your experience like as a Black woman in that industry?
Great question.
Being a Black woman, that 9 times out of 10, I was more credentialed than my white male counterparts.
Wow.
Wow. It was the microaggressions. It was microaggressions with the white female counterparts that I encountered, that if they weren't as exposed or enlightened, they just didn't know how to take me. With the white male counterpart, depending on age, in my age range, very threatened. And I normally was a senior lead or a manager of a technical team. And so, everything is always challenged. You're challenged from when you come in the door. Good morning. Is it like, So it taught me toughness. It taught me how to navigate systems of like the politics in an office. It taught me really who I am in that work world. And that if I exist strongly within my knowledge and my certifications, then they are instantly insecure. And I mean, straight up challenge, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, to the point where I actually have to get on a server and show you that the shadow copy is too large, so it's jamming up the works, things like that. You always have to prove yourself, and nobody wants to be in that mode all the time. And so I will say it taught me how to be resilient. It taught me that I am a threat just because of what I am, a Black woman in IT. And I encountered some really cool folks. Not everybody is built that way. I meet you on an individual basis. but from the dynamics of the career itself, invented by white men, governed by white men, capitalized on by white men, and it's very few of us, but it's more women in STEM. It's more women in the technical field. But when I was coming up, went a lot of us, and yeah, you cut your teeth in that environment, and it has helped me run my business. It has helped me with my interpersonal skills with the team that I govern because they're younger than me. And yeah, Black women in IT with credentials. For those women that are out there, you know what I'm talking about. You'll be questioned by Bill, who went to DeVry and just got his tier 1 certification, looking at you like you don't know what you're doing, and they question you about everything. This fool can't even add a printer to a laptop. So
I think it's every field, unfortunately.
You do?
Yeah, you cut your in the medical field, you cut your women.
We're just a threat everywhere we go.
Black women, yeah, they question everything, and from like when you walk in the door, like, why are you here?
I think that's true. I do. I think that's true.
Yeah, I'm living it.
So. I mean, if you think about it, a girlfriend of mine, she's originally from Brooklyn, lives in Brooklyn, and she was trying to cross Fulton Avenue that's quite gentrified, and a white lady asked her if she was lost.
What?
I'm like, are you lost? And I'm like, did you ask her if her mama was lost?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
but it lends to what Queen's saying. We are questioning about
everything
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you really here? Are you imaginary?
They ask you, like, do you have a 2-year degree? Trying to diminish, anything to ask you these questions, and like you can't do this with a 2-year degree. Why are you asking that? You can't even do it.
I got my Security Plus certification, which is a pretty difficult test to take. Long. Mm-hmm. I never forget. I studied 1,779 questions. I won't ever forget that because, for the possibility of you getting 90 questions in an automated test. That test is brutal. I passed it the first time on the first pass.
Okay.
And I never forget. I was working for this service provider, and he asked me, he goes, "So how many times did you take the Security Plus, sir? Excuse me. You're speaking in plural terms. I'm a singular. I took it one time." So it's like those types of microaggressions. Like, how many times did you? I took it about 3 times. You look like you took it. I give it back to him. It's done with that needling type of humor. You look like you took it 3 times. But with B Ventures, it has been a godsend. I work from home, remote, 24/7. It saves me money because every time I walk out that door, I'm spending money. I commuted to DC for almost a decade, well, more than a decade, on and off 15 years. My soul gets to rest. I get to get up, walk down the hall, and I'm in the voodoo office. And I treat it as such. My office is set up like an office. It's just, I am so fortunate. I am so blessed. I was able to empower myself. And I would say as an entrepreneur, the biggest hurdle has been being as consistent with my business as I am for somebody else's. Meaning, do I really have to reconcile these accounts? I got to go in QuickBooks and I got to tell it, that was for business. No, I mean, you have to be as disciplined, if not more, for your own business than you are for whatever you do for anybody else. And that has been maybe the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's true. You have to be if you wanted to work.
So I want to talk about your shirt. What does your shirt say? The root of salsa must not be forgotten. I love it.
So people who know and love me know I am a rebel at heart. And to all the people who call me a troublemaker, you know. The root of salsa is African rhythm, and the West African cultures from the Congo Basin on up to, Nigeria, coming all around that edge. And that's how I teach that discipline. If you don't know what you're dancing to, you dance improperly. The root of all salsa music is the clave. The clave are two wooden sticks, and they make a certain noise in a certain pattern. But the claves that we play today are reminiscent of the wood that the slaves took from the slave ships and made music with. And the beat is African, as well as the rhythm is African. The drums you're dancing to, the tumbao, the conga, are African. The buttt drums, those are African drums, people. I don't care what you put on top of it, those are African drums. And I think once you learn that, you have a respect for the complex rhythm. And so I got this shirt from the Baltimore Salsa Congress, which has been happening in Baltimore for the last 10 years. Last year was the last year that it's turning into the World Dance Congress, Dance Festival now. But they had this black vendor there that was selling all these T-shirts, and the roots of salsa, must not be forgotten. I was like, they got me written all over it. And so I'm going into all these salsa, a lot of these ballroom European type of Latin dances with my T-shirt on.
I love it.
I rep me everywhere I go, and whatever you can talk about, discover, and learn about it, some black is at the root of it. I guarantee you, some black is at the root of it.
Yeah, that segues into what I was going to say about, your creative part. We want to put that in at the end of the interview, but you're right. Everything that the banjo, country music, where does it come from? It comes from Africa. Let's be clear. Folks say, this is their music. No, that it started that music, and the instruments for that music is West Africa. Let's be clear. But anyway, just wanted to say that. I mean, because anything that we have made color in the United States, or we've put in certain races that they do more, has origins with the African. And when you're the first, that's what happens. Most people are taking from the first. I mean, we take from your parents. I mean, that's just how when you're the first, that's what happens. Unfortunately, you might not like it, but that's what happens. I can't hear you.
That doesn't mean that other cultures have not developed independently of each other. But just from world history, and if you read, and I ain't talking about that Hebrew Israelite, Hotep thing. I'm not even talking about that. I mean, when you learn that the continents were connected at a certain point, that man, life started in this continent, and it just happened to be, what we now call Africa, and that humans dispersed, and I mean early humans. I'm not speaking to what is contained in the Bible. But as they dispersed, as man migrated to colder weathers, and Africans were trading. When you teach that, you're probably just a creation out of the last 500 years because you're Black and the Negro is its own creation, then you lose understanding what you come from. I keep telling people, Africa's a continent. It's not a country. Like there's so much more to it, and I was fortunate enough to grow up with a genius of a mother who also taught. My grandmothers were teachers, and we had the Encyclopedia Britannica up against the wall. We read, we were exposed, and I'm okay with stuff having a strong foundation that happens to be Black. I'm okay with that. It doesn't make me uncomfortable to pump my chest out about it. It may make other people uncomfortable, but that's your thing. That's not mine. But hey, inventions. You don't learn everything in school. What do your parents talk to you about? Like, my mother worked for Amtrak and was a teacher. I learned about the Pullman, from her talking and, working at Amtrak. So, I mean, the creative side of me allows me to get like my rebellious spirit out. So, one of the critiques in my ballet was, one, I wasn't built like a ballerina, and I never, Norma Para from School of the Arts told me that, and I don't know, I'm built like Debbie Allen. I mean, it was the feedback of knowing there were dancers out there, and you had Catherine Dunham, and you had other representations. But as I got older, dances that were more for the bodies of how I was shaped, Haitian dances, Jan Valou and things like that, and Catherine Dunham technique that focused on the Black body. We are built different, so that resonated with me more. And I think for me, what helps me have a release from the whole B Ventures entrepreneur side of things is my creative side, is teaching Afro-Cuban salsa moves and teaching dance moves for Latin styling. That's still a business. I still got to get paid. I still got to make sure contracts are signed, So, but that's my creative release. It allows me to be explosive. It allows me to thump my Black chest, so to speak, because of the type of dance discipline that I teach. I used to teach ballet. I used to teach ballet at Chicopin Recreation Center for years, but I don't have that that body discipline anymore, But I think alpha Black women, you find, and I'm looking at Amaadi, gravitate towards dancing and creative sides. Like a lot of alpha women, they're like, didn't I see you at the Black Lawyers Association, but she's a salsa teacher, or she's a fitness. I think it kind of goes hand in hand.
So you teach Afro salsa?
Yeah.
Ah.
Kelly's phenomenal.
What is Afro salsa?
All salsa is Afro based, but Afro-Cuban dancing is and I'm very clear, I don't teach Afro-Cuban dance because you have to study a really, really long time. And I mean, I've been studying over the last 8 years. I went to Cuba to study, I studied under Correlia de España, and all of that. But the Orisha dances are the sacred dances of the Yoruba and in their practice. And there's a secular side of it. I'm interested in it, and I know about it, and it speaks to me, but I'm not a practitioner. So you'll never hear me say, oh, I'm teaching Afro-Cuban dancing. I teach the body movements for it. So if you want to know how to do all of this, and it's pulling from the back, and I'm showing you the muscles to use, So what I teach is for you to take and to synthesize into other Latin dances, or that you know, if you want to learn bachata, there's a certain rib cage movement if you're doing it right. It ain't that popcorn crap. No, that's not bachata. Bachata is Dominican and footwork. But if you want to learn the body movements to make your dance fluid, I'm the person.
Oh, I hear that.
I'm mean on the dance floor. Don't
Go
let
ahead with the fluidity. I hear you. Because I want to go to Cuba because I want to meet some Afro-Cubans. Like I go to Miami and these white Cubans, excuse my language, they're very, very, very
let me tell you about
prejudiced.
if
I
could move to Cuba, if I could move to Cuba, as they say, if I could move there, I would. I fell in love.
Which city did you go to?
I was in Havana. I was in the neighborhood of Verdado, and I went to Matanzas. I went to Matanzas to learn rumba, and that's where it was created. Next time I go is Santiago, and then I'm going to hop over to Haiti. But when I learned about the history, and I'm obsessed with Afro-Cubans. They are a beautiful people inside and out. I mean, can you imagine it? Just imagine this. Every day, all day, somewhere within your within 12 feet of you, there's always music and dancing. I mean, everywhere you go. We're talking about I was on Verdado, I was on 23rd Street between A and B. And there was a restaurant next to me and then a hospital. This is in the neighborhood. They have one of the best healthcare systems. You ain't got to drive. There's a hospital in every freaking neighborhood.
That's true.
And on the corner every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning was a rooster crowing cock-a-doodle-doo, and then a gentleman playing a box. Every morning. I had yoga every morning. Like I went for a program. And around the corner was a beautiful restaurant by the name of Cimarron. And artwork, music.
Oh, I went there.
Yeah, it's owned by
yeah, that artwork was exquisite.
Yeah, it's amazing. But those people are so beautiful inside and out, because I don't care what food crisis is going on, what political crisis is going on. They dance and sing all the time about everything. And when I say they are some of the most amazing dancers, they just ooze funk. They ooze rhythm. I swear I fell in love with that island. And if you want to go and just experience unfiltered joy, take your butt to Cuba. They everywhere you go is music. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah, I gotta go to Cuba. Got to go there because the Cubans I've met in Miami, it turns me off. So I definitely got to see the land.
Yeah, Afro-Cubans is good. And I mean, it's just the music. It's so relatable, because my first love is house music. I'm a house head. I was at Odell's at 14 years old. I ain't had no business out, I was partying. When I say I was out, I hung out. But the music is relatable. The beats are relatable. And, having a dance background and study certain, dance disciplines, it was relatable. But to go there, and it's an island. So you have the water, you have the beach, you have music and singing and dancing all the time. So you have a different mentality. Imagine if people in Baltimore sang and danced their way through everything that's going on. Music and dancing recalibrates your brain. It is a scientific study about the effects of dancing and music on the brain. They don't suffer from a lot of depression over there. They don't have, now they got some other stuff going, but the conditioning of the human spirit in Cuba is unreal. Honey, take yourself there and find you some Afro-Cubans, because it's littered. It's like,
Yeah, I have to go there.
oh my God.
Well, yeah, the vast majority of Cubans are black. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't know that, but
Yeah.
over 70%, if not more, of Cubans in Cuba are black. You just wouldn't know it based on the media coverage and
Exactly. And who comes to America, and the ones who can afford to come here. And so you see that it's the same thing that we see. The white Cubans, they're in a different level than the Afro Cubans. It's the same thing. And
But
so
we
the
don't
ones that
really
I've
get any of
encountered in
that.
Miami, they're
When you get
very,
into
very
the
discriminatory.
and the Marcos and you get into all that,
We can't hear you.
Kelly,
wait, when you get into the history of the Batista, those are the more European looking Cubans, and you get into the background. When you learn about how the diaspora came around through Cuba and the sugar fields and coffee fields, you learn that, what I love about Cubans is that they claim their African ancestry, their slave ancestry. They claim it. Most of them are from West Africa, their lineage, and then you have the Spaniards, excuse me, and the Portuguese. But Cuba is just a magical place, and I did not do the whole tourist thing. I didn't stay in. I stayed in a beautiful villa called Mansion 7, but it wasn't like a high-end hotel. I lived amongst the folks. I got down with the folks, and it was just, and I navigated it by myself. I love Cuban culture, but Mama don't speak no Spanish. I took French for 7 years. Mm-mm. So
They can have the European tongues. But anyway, we are an hour and 7 minutes in. We are definitely an hour and 7 minutes in. I mean, this has been a great conversation, and it's gone from it's gone outside of America. I love it. It's gone international. And we was talking about the federal government, so we had a lot of jewels. So I put a lot of jewels in the comments that you don't be lazy with your success. D said don't live in a scarcity mindset. And I put talk about you and talk about what you want to do everywhere. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So I kind of kept some of the things in the 5% of the federal contracts that only women can bid on. So try to put some things here that folks can pull out, because you did drop some great jewels, both of you guys. And the last one that got me was you have to be as disciplined or more with your business as you are with anybody else's business. And so those are things that are building blocks. I love when the sisters get together because we talk about everything. We dance in shirts. We're in Africa. Damn. You know how we do. So it's a beautiful thing to connect. And definitely your story is very rich. Yeah, your story is very rich, and I love what you said about education. If you're not education, you better get certified. and really, I try to I've been saying, because we're doing some things with technology, Miss Kelly, and I've been saying over and over that technology is going to make college a dinosaur. Technology is going to eat up college. It's going to eat up our way of doing education, because your portfolio is going to be bigger than your BA, your BS, your MS, and all of that. And so, because technology is a hands-on movement, so you got to be able to build networks and do digital movements, and philosophy is not working on a computer. I hate to tell you. So with the way that we're doing education, it will change, and people are going, because I have a lot of people in my field, the medical field, they're going to IT in 6 months.
Wow.
And they get a language. I mean, we went to school for 4 years. I mean, and we make pretty good money, but they're trumping that because now you can be home. But if you work in a medical field, guess what you got to go? You got to go to the medical field and work. So the medical field is leaving. And then when we work around COVID and boobid and monkeypox and monkey ass. Enough of that. So, I'm being honest. So we see technology is a burgeoning movement, even for the educated. More people in my lab are in tech school right now. They're learning languages because they're leaving the medical field. And so, I'm saying that as people to understand that technology is so boundless. It is such a boundless entity, and it's surrounding us in every application that we do, from the way we sleep to the way we sit on the toilet. The damn toilet got technology in it. So we have to look at that as a people, Black people. Let's look at technology because it is the future. Am I right, Miss Kelly? Come a little. Come.
We can't hear you.
It's present. Can you hear me? Hello?
There you go.
It's the present and it's the future.
Yep.
I would say for technology, you can go out here. It depends on where your initiative and your follow through is. I would tell any young person that's interested in getting into IT, you have open source that you can learn. You have forums that teach you how to code. You don't have to go to school. You got applications. You can utilize that. But what college does give you is the discipline of getting up, going to classes, being responsible for your own scheduling, your funding. And if you want to get into management, but with IT, those years you spend in a 4-year school, someone is already ahead of you because they're in
They're
where
working.
the technology is.
They're applying the knowledge immediately. Yeah.
So it depends on when it comes to coding. My son is a computer science major, but he wants to create video games. I was like, you don't have to go to school to learn how to create video games. If you go for computers, go for a computer science degree that can get you into a corporation at a management level, but you can learn how to code for free.
Yeah.
But I agree with you on that. But it's we get scared, and it's like, but wait a minute, you know how to make your lighting right, to take your picture. I'm in the bathroom, I'm in the driveway, I know how to post. You take your time to learn those things for vanity, but you don't want to invest in something that may be a little more challenging, that may help you down the road. Again, you can't be lazy with your own success.
That's it. You just, hey, you dropped it. Hour and 13 minutes. We are out of here. That's it. Do not be lazy with your own success. Check.
Absolutely.
Be proactive with your own success. So, D, you want to say anything so we roll up out of here?
I just want to say, Kels, Bells, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence and your story and your experiences, from here to Cuba, from here to those that had to test you and, I don't know, microaggress you in the past. But it has definitely been a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. I took my gum out finally.
And thank you for taking your gum out. Yes.
We really appreciate you, Kels Bells. I really appreciate you, and it's always good to see Black women in the IT field and doing things in technology, and also working with the federal government, who have all the cash. Let's be clear. So it's a blessing that you gave some jewels for that. So you got to come back and see us. Got to come drop again. Give us a new shirt. Drop a new shirt on us. Yeah. Come on up. Come up.
On Monday night at 8:30, I teach at the Baltimore Salsa Dance Company on Frederick Road in Catonsville. And on Saturdays at 12:45, I teach at Baltimore Salsa Dance Company. So if if you want it, come get it. I'm there. And it's a great class.
It's on Wednesdays.
Mondays at 8:30 p.m.
Okay.
Saturdays 12:45 in the afternoon. So it's early enough but late enough.
Got it. Well, she's still dancing, y'all. She nickel, but she moving them hips. So I love it. I love it. Listen, Caswell, thank you so much for your genius, for your and you're really a character. I love it. You move around. You're like a drama queen. I love it. So we really appreciate you coming on FiTT TWiNz. This has been November 2022. D, we got one more. We got one more month of this year to come together. But this is November 2022, and we boxed up and out. Can I get some deuces from my girls?
Deuces.
Oh, peace. We gone, Black Boxers. Good night.
Good night.
Don't go nowhere, y'all. Stay there.